Welcome to the AxeCast podcast. Conversations with interesting people from the world of Acadia athletics and more, talking about their lives, successes, and failures. And now let's join hosts Len Harvey and Eric Cedarberg for the next 15 to 20 minutes as they dive into the life of today's guest.
This week on our AxeCast, we are joined by two great members of the Acadia women's basketball program, Allie Berry from the class of 2018 and the class of 2020, Haley McDonald. Girls are both in Germany. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, Allie, I'm going to start with you, and of course, for people that don't know you, you hail from Yarmouth. Give us a little bit of a background, because I know there's family connections to Acadia, but how did you end up in Wolfville?
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty funny story. I guess I was a big volleyball player. I mean, both my sisters went to Acadia for volleyball, and Erica actually switched from volleyball to basketball. And her coach at the time was Bev Greenlaw. And around that time, I'd have been like 16, 17. So I went to play for Nova Scotia. And one year they let me play both Nova Scotia basketball and Nova Scotia volleyball. But in my final year, it was kind of like, you have to choose. And Greenlaw was like, obviously you're choosing basketball. And then ever since then, he got me into the basketball route, and then was my very first recruiter. And obviously Erica loved him and the team loved him, and I fell in love with Acadia ever since my sisters first stepped foot on there. So I feel like it was kind of an easy choice. I mean, I wanted to be my own person, so I tried out different universities, but I just knew Acadia was the fit for me.
So the Berry household was very competitive, is what you're telling us.
Oh yeah, of course.
Who gets the bragging rights?
Yeah, I think me. I think I went the farthest with the sport, and I have the AUS title. So I think I won out there.
You were part of a basketball program at Acadia that enjoyed a lot of success, and of course, in your final year, winning a championship. Just your overall basketball experience, Allie, at Acadia. Give us sort of like a 40,000 foot. What you recall and what was special about it for you.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many special moments. I mean, I came into Acadia and we kind of had a few tough seasons, and then there was a coaching change, and then we got Len, and we built this new culture. And I guess being part of such a amazing kind of shift, and taking the lessons I had learned from Greenlaw and applying them to some of Len's new methods were a fun and an interesting kind of leadership learning step for me, which is everything that I got to bring over here to both of my teams that I played for.
And Haley, you didn't have far to go in terms of your Acadia experience. And as I recall talking to people connected with the program, there was little Haley that used to come to basketball camps. And so just talk about, was Acadia always going to be on your radar?
Yeah, I think Acadia was going to be on my radar regardless of, I guess, what was going on in my life. My dad, mom, brother, aunt, cousin, they all went to Acadia. So it was kind of like something that was ingrained in me when I was young. Obviously, they would have let me go wherever I wanted, but Acadia, just growing up and watching that atmosphere and being in the gym, and just even, it's almost a complete shift, because I feel like the atmosphere with the young kids when I was one of the young kids is very similar to how it is now. And the games are just as packed as they were kind of when I was coming in grade 8, grade 9. That's when we started to see more of the crowds showing up for the women's games. We started to see the crowds just get fuller and fuller and fuller. And then, you would see it start to almost peter out halfway through the men's games. So that was kind of the turn for me. And that was something that I wanted to be a part of.
I recall you made a real early commitment to Acadia.
I did. Yeah. It was, I think July going into grade 12.
Right. Because I remember that people were just she's not looking around. And I just thought, this is perfect. This is the person you want to have, who's looking at coming to Acadia before her last year.
Yeah. I mean, Allie and the girls made me feel wanted much before I was even committed there. So it was definitely something I wanted to pursue further. Two of my best friends that I grew up going and playing provincial basketball with had committed there, and they were going there in the fall. So it was something I didn't want to miss out on. I didn't want to be looking in on a situation that I was wishing I was a part of.
Haley, you touched on something that's interesting, and you talked about the crowds, building in the gymnasium. If you go back 30 years ago when this old fella was the PA announcer in the gymnasium, the women, if they had 50 or 60 people watching their game, by halftime it was a big crowd. Things have really changed. And I guess my question for you both, and I'll start with you, Haley, and Allie, I want you to weigh in on it, is the last 10 years, the program, did you feel like you were part of something that was really special? I'm not just talking about the competitive side of the program, but what you guys have done in the community and really building up that support. Did you ever get a sense that you were part of something really special?
Yeah, like for me, it felt like we were just a part of something a lot bigger than just Acadia basketball. We were seeing the shift within women's basketball all through our province and even our country, I think. We would go to gyms that weren't our own, and we would have tons of Acadia supporters there and people that wanted to be a part of what Acadia was doing and support us in that way. And I think that starts with us, and then it kind of migrates into the minor programs and the way that the coaches, all of our minor coaches, do such a great job. I guess kind of advertising our games. They might give the kids practice off if they come to our games. We have the minor jersey night. They get in for free if they wear their jersey. I think we're just kind of taking the steps further that include all of those populations as well.
Allie, some thoughts from you on that?
Yeah, I think that there's been like a huge shift, again in our province and in the country about women's sports. And I think that they're just keep growing and growing. And I think Acadia was like one of the people that were like on the first wave of that. They're like, we're going to promote women's sport as much as possible. We want them in the community. We want our program to grow. And we saw that with our fan base across the country, across our province. And like even now we're starting to see like Acadia graduates over here, like Haley and Owen. And like now it's becoming like kind of like a hopefully across the world shift.
We're back. So I guess my question really, Allie, was just some perspective on the fact that there's been so many, I guess the stars of the program, if you look over the last 10 years, are homegrown talent or people that are very close to the Valley. Just some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I also think that that's super special. One thing that Acadia does really well is I feel like they want the homegrown people, they want the talent in their area. They want to grow the program through that. You know what I mean? So they always start with like, they have great minor programs. Like Haley said, I had a good minor program where I was, and then they look for talent right in that area, which is good. And I also see that starting to happen over here in Germany, is that they're starting to like produce players rather than like look for outside resources, which is, I think, is also a huge part of what makes the Acadia women's basketball culture so important.
Haley, and for you, obviously all the athletes, out in the community and, whether it's working at camp or just being involved in a fundraising effort or, having little girls come to your game, how meaningful was that to you and to be able to see that growth from little girls that aspire to be the next Haley or Allie or whoever?
It's a position that you hope you're going to be in when you're our age, but it's something that doesn't often happen for a lot of people. So I think it's really special that they're able to do that. I know during COVID, I was working with a few of the kids just because they had no access to the gym. So just outside was how we kind of had to do it. I know Denisha Provo was doing that in Halifax as well. It's like great that we're seeing the connection. I think is more, I guess it's grown so much where people are just kind of going out and doing their own thing and connecting with the community that way. Obviously, I will always wear the Acadia crest. It's something that, I'll always be Acadia, but, just being able to put your own name on that and then bringing the program along with it, I think that helps as well.
I think I've thrown this story out and I'm going to say it real quick, but the real pioneers of women's basketball, I'm going to have to say, was probably the Dunker sisters, because I could recall sitting by my window on a summer day reading, and windows open, and my next door neighbors, of course, are the McLeods, and my kids are over there. They're all grabbing basketballs to play basketball. And they all start saying names. I'm going to be Emma. I'm going to be Abby. I'm just like, wow. I'm just the impact. So, anyways, we'll give credit to them, and then along with you guys, just bringing up even into a higher point. So,
Allie, in terms of the program and the years that you played basketball, is there one or two moments for you that stand out where you reflect back, whether it's the championship in 2018, like what stands out for you? What is that one takeaway?
I mean, the championship is obviously everything that we had been working for 5 years with the group of girls that I was brought up with. We were like pushing for that ever since our first year. So obviously that's a very magical moment, but I don't think that really defines our experience at Acadia. I think it was like a bunch of like little moments, like Paloma singing in the locker room, everybody getting annoyed by it, you know, changing the song to a song she doesn't know. Or some funny screen that Chanel got hit off of and she like collapsed because she's not strong enough. You know, like the little moments are everything that made the Acadia experience so special. And I was just so fortunate enough that we put in the time and we grinded it out and we got the championship to celebrate. But I think that there's just so many funny moments that is the real experience.
How about you, Haley?
For me, I think it's, like I was mentioning earlier, I grew up with Allison and Kelsey. So I think seeing Allison and Kelsey make their debut back on the floor after some serious adversity that they had faced for so long. I literally get emotional to this day thinking about Kelsey and like what she's overcome and the way that she comes back on the floor and just gives it like a, I don't care attitude, like I'm here to play basketball and I'm going to play and I'm going to put my body on the line. I think that also, that's kind of the way that that's the mindset and the way that you want every player to play. And I think that she kind of, when it came to toughness and overcoming adversity, I think her and Allison specifically embodied that. And that's something, just being one of their friends was something I was always like so proud of and something I wish I had.
Yeah, those are the things that, you know, those of us that are fans of your sport and whatever, you don't see those things. You don't spend the time the way that you guys, that you do as fans. You know, we look at particular points, a championship or whatever. Or Haley, I'll ask you this question. Where were you on March 3rd, 2019?
Probably the Metro Center.
Do you remember anything specific about that game?
There's probably a final.
March 3rd, 2019, you scored 51 points in a playoff game. Eric, was it UPEI?
Yeah, pretty sure. Yes, knocked them out.
You know, you often talk, and again, I'm coming through as sort of like a fan. You always think about special moments in sports. Everybody knew where they were in 1972 when Canada won against the Russians, and different sporting moments. That's one of those moments I can remember where I was sitting in the Metro Center at the time and watching you. When you think back, Haley, what goes through your mind? Like really 51 points is something else.
I actually, the other day, Sunday, I had a girl here drop 59 points on my team. So it's a little bit, takes the spice away from it a little bit more, but you don't want to be on the receiving end of that. But I mean, for that game specifically, I think we just ended up grinding out a win. And I'm at that point, that's something I had to do for my team to go further. We had set our minds on winning another AUS championship after the 2018 one. And I think a lot of people doubted us because we had lost majority of our starters and we had lost our leaders of the team and our I guess, culture keepers. But that was something that you just want to prove people wrong. Honestly, it's something that if there's any doubt in someone's mind, you want to come back and you want to prove them that they were wrong. And I think in that moment, it's like, you know what, this is like our team. This is our team's moment. No one's going to take it from us. And that's just what we had to do.
So you both have decided to go professional basketball route, and in a year that unfortunately is very challenging for everybody on the planet. Allie, I'll start with you. You're both in Germany. You're not. I should point out to people that you're not on the same team. Just to talk about your journey from Acadia to landing overseas.
Yeah, mine was kind of a crazy journey, actually. So I got with an agency, and then they did actually an Italy tour where a bunch of US teams come over to Italy, and then you just like play kind of a round robin tournament. So I hadn't received a contract yet, and I was flying out to Italy in like a day, hoping to get a contract. And then I received a contract that night. So I went from packing for 2 weeks on like an Italy tour to packing for like 6 months, or packing till Christmas till I get back. So that was like my first real experience. So I was like, oh, got to say goodbye to everybody in less than 24 hours and get on the plane. So that was like pretty crazy. And I loved that club a lot. I played for them for 2 years. And then I moved clubs this year. So this will be my 3rd season.
Allie, how much of an adjustment is it after playing university basketball to playing pro? Was it a huge adjustment?
Yeah, basketball wise, I felt like I fit my league pretty well. So that was good. I mean, it's definitely a learning curve for like the culture. Now I'm nervous to like go to the grocery store, like place an order, all of that stuff that you don't really think of. And also this was my first like big move away from home, because like I'm just from Yarmouth, and obviously at Acadia I was away 2.5 hours. So now I'm like a whole ocean away from my family. And actually this is the longest I've been away. I've been away for 6 months now, because we weren't allowed to come over for Christmas for COVID. So this has been pretty tough, but other than that, I think that my experience has been solid, and I think that I adjusted pretty well.
And compared to Haley, you're the wily old vet here, because Haley, you've only been in Germany, what, 2 months?
Not even. Month
Not
and a half.
So have you even had, and I know that you guys are like in lockdown with COVID, have you even had a chance to play a game at this point?
Yeah. We've I think I've played almost every weekend since I've been here. I think I'm going on game 6 on Saturday, maybe. Yeah. We get tested for COVID before every game. So it's like, it's very safe the way that they go about things. There's no spectators or anything like that. So if everyone tests negative on your team and the other team, then you're fine to play. I know for us anyway, we don't really have a set schedule either. It's kind of, you go weekly. You have to play everyone once, but you kind of go weekly. We found out on like, I think it was like Tuesday, we had a game on Saturday, and like, we don't really know who we play next week, but then we'll find out midweek who we play. It just kind of whoever matches up. And then by the end, we're hoping that we would have played everyone.
So for you, I mean, obviously, Haley, during your years at Acadia, dominant guard, and certainly on the last couple of years would have been, a point person in the Acadia program. What's the adjustment been like for you?
It hasn't changed much. I'm kind of put in, people might think I was like a point guard when I was at Acadia, but we had a rule where anyone could bring the ball up, anyone could do whatever they needed to do. Whereas here it's a lot different. I have to go get the ball every time. I have to call a play every time. It's not really what I'm used to, but it's a good experience, and it's a good way to kind of adjust, I guess, get exposure to different types of playing styles. I know as like a 23-year-old here, I'm by no means an older player on the team. I'm like mid-pack, if not one of the younger players on the team. We have a few girls on our team who are in their 30s. So it's good to get experience to this. A lot of the girls, their careers don't really start like basketball wise until they're over 25 here. They play a lot of second league and third league, and then they eventually adjust and be able to go first league. So it's nice. I think I'm fitting in well. I really like my team. I still get my shots. So, I mean, it's good for that. But yeah, no, it's a bit of adjustment in, like Allie was saying, with the leadership and stuff like that, because it's just a different culture here.
Now, are you two in the same league? Like, would you play against each other?
Yes.
Yeah, so because of COVID, the league's so crazy, and I had already played Haley's team before she got here. So I'm not sure if we will end up playing each other again. Right now, they're like deciding whether or not they want to extend the league in the back half of the season. So it's kind of like up on the air if we'll actually get to play against each other.
Yeah, I think originally our scheduled game was the last game of the season.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it will happen.
And a big culture shock for you, Haley?
I'm scared if we play Allie's team, I'm going to get absolutely rocked on one of her screens. I'm scared. Like, I'm really scared.
Haley, will you take it easy on your former teammate?
I need her to take it easy on me.
Yeah. That's not going to happen, everybody. I'm going for the win. I'm going for the win for sure.
Well, we're sort of winding down here, and I know Eric usually sort of rounds these things out with some different questions. So, Eric, over to you.
And now it's time for Eric's Cut to the Chase 5 questions.
Well, I didn't really have any questions. I guess the one thing that I'd be interested to know is, and everybody seems to have a question to this, and an answer to this, and some don't. But who is your favorite roommate on the road when you were at Acadia? Was there one person, or were you always teamed up with different people, or were you had the opportunities to have different roommates? I'm kind of curious to know. Like, I'm curious to know who ever had Paloma, but
Chanel always got Paloma.
Chanel and Paloma were always roommates.
Okay, right.
Katie Ross was my girl. I feel like I was always in a room with Katie. Especially AUS weekend. That was our weekend. We used to watch darts. Remember, it was always that big dart tournament.
Darts, right.
There's always AUS tournament darts finals, baby. So we bounce back and forth between the games and the darts tournament.
Okay. And you, Haley?
I was always roomed with Ellen.
Okay.
Until Ellen graduated, and then I was roomed with Kelsey. And I have absolutely no complaints. We'd walk every morning, go get our morning coffee, regardless of the degree out. It was always a nice little morning walk. Come back. That was really it. Our coffee was always what we went to. That was, yeah. Me and Ellen, we were always roommates, actually. We got along really well. It was a perfect pairing.
The only other question I have is with this COVID going on, has it been a little bit scary in a sense? Or, I don't know if you guys heard, we spoke with Owen Klassen a couple of weeks ago, and Owen got COVID and said it was the worst thing he's ever experienced. I think he said something like 14 of the 17 players had COVID, and he and his wife were just hit hard. And so for you guys, have you had any players at all positive on your teams yet or anything, or they've done a great job keeping you safe?
We did have a COVID case on my team, but it was in the first half of the season, and she was the only one that got it. We all had to do 10 days quarantine and be tested. I think I was tested like 4 times, just they were like making sure nobody else had it. And she said it wasn't that bad, and that, like, I guess it just hits everybody completely different.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think, like, we do the best possible job to keep everybody safe over here. I mean, we really limit it down to the number of people like we're in contact with as much as possible. And then we're testing every week. So I feel pretty safe. I haven't been scared too badly by it.
And you guys have been tested, it sounds like a lot. Have you gotten used to the test yet, or what? The old
I would argue that the testing here is more extensive.
Yeah.
And a lot worse than the testing in Canada.
Is it different? I've only been tested over here.
They do 1 nostril in Canada.
Right. And
yeah, it's tough
nostrils.
here then.
Your throat, the very back of your throat, both nostrils. And it's like not your little 5-second dip in like they do in Canada. It's like in and it's spinning.
They're twisting it.
Yes.
I've gotten very good at it,
I have
Okay.
not.
but I've been tested since October. So now
I
I'm
get
like,
like
yeah,
the bad
Friday.
hot water.
I'm like, Friday testing. No big deal.
Well, I think we had a different story from Owen. Owen was saying he just despised the testing and couldn't stop crying each time, like eyes watering. So
My eyes water bad when I get it. Yeah.
I
oh,
mean, I sneeze once in a while.
You sneeze from it.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's like a tickle in your nose.
well, thank you very much for answering all my COVID questions.
This has been a treat to have you both on here, and not long out of Acadia for either one of you, and you've both been impactful, not just for the program, but for the university and the community, along with all your teammates and those before you. So it's been a treat to catch up with you guys, and thanks for doing this. And listen, all the very best. And I can't wait to hear about the first time you actually match up against each other. We want to hear all the stories.
Oh yeah, we'll send you some updates.
Send the clips.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.